What's up, fellow travelers? Welcome to Traversing the Stars. I am JD. Please welcome filmmaker Jerry Williams. Jerry, welcome to the show.
Hello, everybody. How is everybody out there?
Everybody out there in podcast land. How are you this evening?
Doing fantastic. Actually, I was looking at some of the music stuff that I was actually playing a little bit of guitar upstairs, driving my daughter crazy. I was like, oh man, I've got a great idea. And it was, she kicked me out because evidently it's still disturbing to me that Nirvana is considered classic rock now. I'm like, what?
It's crazy.
No.
It's crazy.
Oh, hell no. I actually had an actress come up to talk to me. We were talking about music, and she said, I love classic rock. And I was like, oh, really? What do you like? I like Nirvana, Soundgarden. I'm like, whoa.
It's like, that's
really?
They just came out like last year. What are you talking about?
I was like, wait a minute. What the hell, man? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's funny too. I was listening recently to a podcast series on the Ramones, and like I never really got like super into them before, but like, after having listened to that and kind of giving them kind of a second chance, like as a more mature music lover, I've really started to get like way more into them. Like, so I'm kind of giving them a real chance this time.
I'm sure you've heard the I guess it's not really an urban legend, but Phil Spector produced one of their records.
Yeah.
And he like held him at gunpoint to put strings on. I'm like, yeah, he seems a bit unstable.
Yeah. No, I've heard like different versions of that, because I think it was Dee Dee was the one that like he had the gun to. But like Johnny tells it completely differently. Like it was like Dee Dee said there was a gun, but Johnny's like, no, he just pulled a gun out. He didn't like wave it at anyone. It's like, that's still menacing, dude. What are you doing?
Yeah, no. Well, it reminds me of a Filipino filmmaker. I think it was Eddie Romero. I'm not sure which one, but he would have a firearm on set, and anytime he wanted to make a point, he'd like shoot it or something. I'm like, holy shit, man. And I was like, it's a wonderful documentary. It's called Machete Maidens. And it's about how a lot of the Hollywood filmmakers were filming in the Philippines.
Yeah.
And it's insane because a lot of the stuff, like they were actually paying guys pesos and throwing them out the window. So when a stuntman came over and said, you could use fake glass. What? Oh,
what?
So it's insane. It's insane. I was watching it, and it got to the point where they were doing insane stuff. When you think of Tarantino movies, the really crazy 70s, that's pretty much where
pretty much what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. They would be like, well, let's have women in prison movies. So let's go to the Philippines.
Yeah.
And film women in prison.
Like basically anything they couldn't definitely get away with here, they're like Philippines.
Yeah. And Corman loved it, of course. Roger's like, I could probably film there. Oh,
yeah.
Perfect. I think the best thing I ever heard about Roger Corman was from John Landis. Was John Landis said, Roger says he's for the art, for this. He's full of crap. It's for money. And I was like, just cracking it up. If you film a lot of these older guys, they're kind of, I don't want to say burlesque, but they're kind of old school.
Yeah.
And they're very much like, okay, what's this? What am I doing? Let me hit my marks. And they're gone. They're out.
Yeah.
And it's really funny.
It's kind of like a little bit of like echoes from like old Hollywood.
Yeah, well, I really wish. I mean, Lloyd Kaufman was in a couple of my films.
Yeah, I was gonna bring Lloyd up. So yeah, absolutely.
And I was kicking myself because he was. I was an English major, and I put in Dylan Thomas. Do not go gentle into the good night. It's for comedic effect in Zeppo. And he's taking it seriously. He's reading the script because when you think of trauma, you think of trauma. That kind of thing.
Like a slime and nudity for no reason.
Yeah. Well, when I met him, he's super serious, and we were like, we were that kind of. Well, Debbie Rochon too. She was very sweet, wonderful lady, and Lloyd was really, really nice. I worked with Conrad Brooks. Mm-hmm. I've told his daughter, I was like, I half expect him to call me up on the phone.
Yeah.
Past 2017. I keep expecting him to call and say, Jam, what's our next movie? What are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
So, but Lloyd was really good, and he had read the script.
Yeah.
It was doing the do not go gentle into the good night. And I was kicking myself. I was like, why couldn't I have had a drama? Because the dude's really good.
Yeah.
And I was like, I had a comedy. I was like, shit, next time, Lloyd, next time. But he was really good. I feel like I feel like if he didn't be associated with trauma, he could be really good as an actor. Because I actually, and it was me and my friend Todd were joking.
Yeah,
we're actually weirdly enough connected to the Guardians of the Galaxy movie because we were talking to Lloyd at Dragon Con and we were talking about this is before when the first Guardians of the Galaxy came out.
Oh, that's been a few years. Yeah.
So we were talking to him, and I said, "Hey, man, Lloyd, I'm convinced Lloyd. I've got. There's something about me that just gets him going.
Yeah.
Hell, Jared, get the fuck out of here. So I'm like, okay, Lloyd. Okay. Anyways, we're talking, and he said, yeah, I'm going to be in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and I was watching it in the theater with my wife, and the first thing I said was like, weirdly enough, I've got the 6 degrees of Lloyd now going. Isn't that funny? I thought that was funny. I was like, oh, I'm connected to Ed Wood and Lloyd and James Gunn, weirdly enough. So
I love it. I love it. And you know what? Like, I love, okay. So like, I feel like a lot of people don't appreciate like those kind of movies, like the Ed Wood movies, the trauma films. I love B movies, man. Like those are my favorite.
Oh, well, I love those kind of movies. And actually, weirdly enough, if you're making an indie film and you don't have a lot of money, I tell people, I'm like, work on the title because you're selling the title.
Right.
You're selling the title. Well, one film that I'm working on a little bit is Shark Exorcist 2.
Shark Exorcist 2.
Donald Farmer's a legend, man. And I'd met his really talented actress named Casper Meltier.
Yeah.
And she was in a film called Hooker with a Hacksaw. And I'm like, brilliant. That's brilliant, man.
I would watch the shit out of that.
I was like, damn, man. And it was a good fun film. Those kind of films you bring to a party. No one brings Schindler's List to a party. Hey man, this is great. We're gonna watch something really dark.
Could you imagine that though? It's like, hey, who's ready to feel? Who's ready to feel? I've
got the popcorn. I'm ready to be emo.
No, but you're absolutely right. Those are party movies. Those are the kind of movies that you have a good time with. Like those are the kind of movies like whenever I would have friends over or just like, people hanging out for the night, we're watching B movies, dude. We're watching Return of the Living Dead. We're watching Night of the Creeps.
Well, my favorite, what was it? One of the movies I did with Lloyd. I always tell indie filmmakers, learn how to edit because that's the joke you have if you're a filmmaker, how it's not going to get done. A guy will say he'll edit it. Yeah, I'll edit it.
Yeah.
No, it's not. So anyways, Misadventures in Space, I was cracking up about it. I made it on Windows XP Movie Maker.
Yeah.
And so, because I was talking to a couple of filmmakers, I obviously used Adobe Yakety Spec Premiere. I'm like, really? I just turned on my computer and there's a movie maker, and you
just use the base system. What's wrong with that?
yeah. Well, I mean, as long as you're not like trying to make episode 2 or 3 of Star Wars, you're fine, man. So I think we actually did. Zeppo's kind of. And I have to give Eric Butts credit on it. I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a lot of Star Wars. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it.
And the little droid robot. Yeah, that was. We had filmed that at George Banilla's place. Mm-hmm. I emailed him and I said, "Hey, dude, I'm filming something. I'm gonna have a semi-nude actress. Can she show up?" Yeah, I guess. So, anyways, we're taping trash bags over his wall. Yeah. And George collects crazy things for his film. So there's a samurai outfit. And one of his films was like a Nazi gold, the bad guys in the film. So this poor actress, I guess I didn't warn her ahead of time. So she shows up and there's like all this Nazi regalia and all the blood drains from her face. no, this isn't my. These are props. And then once she saw that the gold bullion was like rubber. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. But yeah, for a split second, I'm here.
Oh,
I'm double parked.
Slowly walking out.
Time to leave. Now, Eric did a fantastic job on Zeppo, and he did a lot of the music and the editing, and it's kind of funny. I don't know if you kept up with Eric, but he kind of got national exposure for some of his reviews on what was it? Just reactions to the Force Awakens. I'm not the Return of Skywalker.
Yeah,
and I think what cracked me up was I was like watching it. And I was like, hey, these guys are getting all tore up about Eric, and that's Eric being Eric, man. So
yeah. That's what he does.
I thought that was the greatest thing. I did joke with him later. It's like, dude, you didn't have the Zeppo shirt on, man. You could have helped the brother out, man.
Right?
But that's okay.
It's like, it's all right. I remember that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he had gotten on Howard Stern and he had gotten on, I think, BBC and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was kind of doing this like, oh, that'd be great. Oh, you can wear a Zeppo shirt,
Yeah. like I'm just joking,
Hero.
but if you're willing to do it, I'm not.
Well, he actually reviewed my show Astro Space Hero on his drunken movie night, and I always loved what he said about my films. He said, "First 2 seconds of a film, I knew it was yours." I was like. I was cracking up about that.
Yeah, it's like, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I'm kind of like jalapenos. You know what you're getting.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think what cracked me up. Well, you know how a lot of the films are streaming. So
right.
Pervos is kind of with Maxim Media and a couple of other things. I had no idea it was on. It was on Tubi until someone told me. I said, dude, I saw your film. I'm like, it's there? I didn't know. You'll love this. My friend Mark Holmberg shoots a lot of stock footage.
Yeah.
And you know how it works out. They shoot stock footage and it gets picked up by producers. Well, somehow one of the clips that he did with me is on a TV game show host, a show called Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah.
And anytime that comes on, my phone lights up like a Christmas tree. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm cracking up because I was joking with one of my friends. I was like, I could totally start charging money for autographs just as a joke.
Yeah, right?
Not only was I an Astro Space Hero, but I was on a major network TV. Yeah, no one will buy it.
Don't you know who I am?
You'll be amazed how a lot of these actors are kind of insane over that. That's,
I bet. A lot of ego with that. So,
shoo. Well, actually, if you wear a lightning bolt shirt and try to get them in a show, they usually freak out.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny. Like, hey, Master Thespian, do you want to do this show? Oh Lord, no, oh God.
So they're kind of like weirdly nervous about it too. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, I think what it is that a lot. Well, I think it's just because that they're doing an artistic medium.
Right.
They're scared to be vulnerable and
open.
If you're setting yourself for laughs, that terrifies a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
especially if they're doing something serious and they're like taking themselves really seriously.
Yeah. I know. Well, I did theater for a little bit, and a lot of those guys, man.
Oh, I bet.
I understand what you were saying, Jerry. But what does it mean? And I'm like, people don't talk like that.
I talk like that.
I did talk to one of my theater friends, and I had actually gone to England a couple of years ago, just as for fun, and I realized that there's a reason why when they think of theater, it's everywhere. When you think of punk bands, it's kind of like come to the pub and eat a sandwich and we'll do Shakespeare, and it's everywhere.
So you can just go to a pub and have someone doing Shakespeare at the pub.
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, you have the legit theater people, but if you got the Jonesin for theater, just go to England. Like, I'll go eat a sandwich over there, and
get some fish and chips here, and get some culture over here. I love it.
Yeah, I know. Well, and bonus, I actually got into weird paranormal stuff, of course. There's an inn called the Mermaid Inn.
Yeah.
And I know this sounds insane, but
no, I love it. I love it.
My brother John got us the hotel to Johnny Depp stayed there. It's called the Mermaid Inn. It's supposed to be one of the haunted places in England. And of course, he picked it on Halloween. I was like, at the time, I was way before. I'm like, oh, that's great. Until you get to Halloween, you're like, maybe this wasn't a good idea.
I'm starting to rethink this.
Yeah, I was starting to really rethink this. And what it is to get up to the room, you had to open this big ass door. I mean, it was loud.
Yeah.
Loud as fuck. And okay, they're asleep. They're sleeping. I've got a little tablet. My bed is right next to the door.
Yeah.
And what happened was you could hear someone walking up the steps.
Yeah.
I was like, the hell, man. I was like, didn't I hear that? You should hear the big door.
Yeah.
So anyways, something's walking up, and then it stops right by the door, right by my bed. And I'm like, and I'm like, fuck no, I ain't open. Not
happening.
Yeah,
seen like, too many of those movies, made too many of those movies.
Yeah, I am not that guy. Like, it looks dangerous. Let me stick my hand in there.
I'll be right back.
I'll be right back. No, that was not me. So I let the feeling go. I mean, because it was scary, because it was right by, it was like 2 feet from my bed, and I'm like, and I'm like, don't, just let it go, let it go. And I finally, it felt like it disappeared.
Yeah.
And I fell asleep, and then I felt like the bed was shaking, like someone was waking me up, and I thought it was my younger brother Jeff messing with me, and they're both still asleep across the way, and I'm like, shit.
Oh man, that is creepy.
So yeah, I was like, I mean, the thing that cracked me up was the Tower of London.
Yeah,
because every 2 feet, it's like, well, there was mutilations and beheading here, and
was the rack over here, like.
I'm a huge Benny Hill fan, so like, and the guy reminded me of one of Benny Hill's characters, because he kept like doing this. We'll be heading to the gift shop, like that kind of humor. I loved it. It was great. It was great. The thing that amazed me about England was like, you could totally see how our theater and films came from all.
Like you can see like the inspiration.
Yeah, and it was. The one thing I want to go to, and I'm a horror film fan, is love to go to the Grand Guignol Theater.
Yeah,
and that's like the Godfather of horror films. And, I think they did an homage to that, an Interview with a Vampire, the little theater of the vampires.
Yeah, the one where they were all gathered at.
Yeah, and I was always like, and I tried making, before I did films, I tried doing it in the theater. Yeah. And I always remember the email I got back, and it was kind of it still cracks me up. One of the theater companies around here said, Jerry, no one in Kentucky wants to see dragons and magic and stuff. They want to hear comedy. So I was like,
Larry the Cable Guy, if you have it.
I was like, well, I'm in Kentucky and I want to see about unicorns and dragons. Fuck it, man. But that was the other thing. Tucky Williams, she did
love Tucky.
She's fantastic. She did her medieval lesbian dagger kiss series, and she's brilliant. She's girl scene movie was fantastic. She's the best experience I ever had was working on her film, because the woman got it down cold for preparation. She was like script, production. And I was actually on a phone call for this past weekend, and I said one of the best moments was she was on camera, but she was also wrangling actors, producing it, setting up the shot, and acting. And I'm like, fuck, how'd you do that?
Like she was like doing everything, huh?
Yeah. She would tell Mark what to do. Mark,
Sure.
And Mark, to his credit, I remember he had equally prepared. So when I showed up to do the sound, I was like, this is great. Because usually when I go on a movie shoot, it's like, Jerry, we wrestled the neighbor's dog and the cops are called. What do we do? Like, shit.
That's awesome, man. I love that she's so like got it down like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, yeah, she honestly, if she was a dude, I think she'd have a lot more accolades, because when, and it's true. I remember I watched her interview with her, and it's true. I was watching when it was on Amazon. This dude had more of a review that was longer than the film itself.
Yeah,
like, dude, I was
like bitching about it.
Yeah, well, the bobby pin thing cracked me up, because he was like freaking out because the girls had bobby pins in their hair, and I'm like, dude, first of all, if you notice if that's the first thing you see, I see Tucky in a sexy medieval dress, I'm noticing bobby pins. Do you really want?
You're paying attention to the wrong thing.
yeah, you are not. Yeah, and
I've really seen the girls that she works with too. Like, it's like, how are you noticing bobby pins?
Yeah, I know. I was like, yeah, huh?
Well, what was it? Was he bitching because it wasn't like to medieval like a thing or something? Like, what was this? Like, what was the problem with the bobby pin?
Well, you got me. Well, it's like with some of the people complaining about girl scene movie.
Yeah,
some of them were complaining it wasn't porn. I'm like, dude, there's something called Pornhub.
Yeah, like if you don't like, it's not hard to find. Like, it's really easy to find.
yeah. No, well, I haven't worked with Stoya or Caden, but I heard enough stories that they were pretty pro, and they showed up and did their work, and it is funny because a lot of indie film guys will try to put some of these adult actresses because they want to. What they are is acting, and
right.
And they know their marks and they're hitting it. And some of the locals, you got to get a butterfly net, run after them. Like, hey man, one of the things, a friend of mine was getting ready to shoot his movie, Jacob Innes. It's called The Art of Killing. And we were talking and Jacob was talking about getting the movie together. Yeah. And I just felt that cold clamp on my throat when I was talking about scheduling. I'm like, oh, oh Lord. Yeah. If you're trying to get anyone, more than one person over to do something creative, man, it is, you keep hoping, you're like, please be here. Please be here.
Yeah. It's really rare that you can bring like group. It's like just constant group project. Like, the stereotype is absolutely true.
well, that's the joke I have, because I have a couple of puppets for Astro, and I keep joking. I was like, dude, get some puppets, man. Once you're done filming, you can make a sandwich. Shit, man, done.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you think about that? I think it's a great scene. That's fantastic.
I love it.
Actually, a lot of the films that I started were based on a lot of my love of 70s live action TV shows. You remember it was really they were too cheap to buy animation, so they did like Love Bug. I remember, what was it? The
Herbie Fully Loaded.
No, it was really bad 70s TV shows. The one with the original Ghostbusters. They had the guys from F Troop and a gorilla.
Yeah. All those old weird Marvel ones they used to do, like the weird old Spider-Man and all that.
Total budget, and I love that kind of carny kind of aesthetic and stuff.
Very DIY feeling.
Yeah, I love that kind of thing. I love that. I just gravitated toward that. I did Pervos, and after Pervos, I was like, I don't want to do something like Flash Gordon, and it just kind of went from there. And and I kind of liked Flash Gordon too, so I kind of stuck that in there too. Which I was watching it, and Flash Gordon, I know the subject matter is kind of crazy, but the special effects shots are really cool because it's a snapshot just before Star Wars took over.
Right.
And I was like, wow, that actually looks pretty damn good considering. You know? So, and I actually saw interviews with the film director. I'm like, oh Lord, that dude is insane. But he's not Ken Russell insane, but he's up there.
He's up there,
Ken is one of those. The one actor I would love to meet is Peter Capaldi, and the thing I would love to talk to him about is Lair of the White Worm. I'm sure he's mortified about that movie.
Yeah, I know I've seen that, but it's been a while since I've seen that.
But it's kind of Oscar Wilde meets horror. Once I heard it was described by the producer.
Yeah.
And once you know that, you're like, oh, it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
It's Oscar Wilde meets horror films.
Yeah.
And okay, I get it. At the time, you're like, if you're comparing it to Freddy or Jason, you're like, what the hell? What is this?
Right.
Why is there a steak dildo and a worm? And that makes no sense. So, but if you view it as kind of a delirium, and
I think almost like a fever dream.
Bram Stoker was kind of, I think it was his last novel before he started kind of losing it.
Yeah.
So there's kind of that kind of ethos in there.
Yeah.
And true story, I've been trying to incorporate hypersigil stuff into Astrospacey and other things.
Yeah.
And I wanted to try to experiment, like trying to zone out writing.
Yeah.
Like, and I did it with a story that got picked up.
Yeah.
It's called The Occult Gate of the Comic Book Writer. And I named the main character Morrison, Grant Morrison. And I was like writing, just kind of zoning, and just wrote it. Yeah. And I sent it and it got picked up. And the guy who was editing it and cracked me up kept like lambasting me, like, who edited this shit? And I'm like, well, I didn't want to tell him, like, well, I was zoning out, but it turned out good, but I mean, I had to do some edits on it, but it was really cool just to kind of check a monkey mind out and just kind of.
So how'd you get into that zone, like, for that? Because I feel like that'd be like tough to kind of like break, like almost like let go of, like, what you're. That's how I imagine it would be.
Well, yeah. Well, I think I like a lot of people, I try to do the meditating thing, and it's incredibly impossible. But someone actually told me something, and it was like, oh, okay. Because I was like, I can't do it. As soon as my eyes close, I'm every fucking place. And someone said, well, it's because your mind's hardwired to think about shit. Yeah. And you can't, it's kind of like, don't think about any redheaded ladies. Well, and then that's all you can think about. I was like, shit. Yeah. But if you give it, that's the reason why people have the mantras. That's to occupy the mind. Yeah. And at a certain point, my problem was I couldn't do the I get bored out of my head. However, someone said, well, why don't you make your own mantra? I'm like, fuck yeah, man. Yeah, dude, that's fucking awesome. So you would make, I remember I tried actually doing one named after my friend Todd, just to see if I could do it. Todd Burrows. And I did it for a little bit, but at a certain point you would actually start thinking of your friend. Right. I'm like, But yeah, he was properly mortified. I'm like, Todd, I created a mantra named after you. And he was mortified. Just more. We were talking. He's the guy I do Dr. Tierney with. Yeah. And so, I was like, okay, dude. A mantra, Todd Burrows. Yeah, perfect. But yeah, I feel like, with like some of the music, and I haven't done it with film because you can't do that too much because it's a collaborative effort. Right. So much involved with that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I actually one of the jokes that I had was I was George Banilla's mean AD. Yeah. And George was very nice, very he wanted everyone to love him. Yeah. And I was the guy like, why the fuck am I here? Let's get this shit done. And I do feel bad because I did yell at people because I didn't have much patience for, the problem is with a lot of the joke I had with one guy, and I won't badmouth or talk smack about him, but you could tell he was starting a movie. Yeah. And he hadn't shot a lot because the first 2 minutes he spent opening the door. And I was on this movie, and he had literally 40 takes opening the door.
That's some Kubrick shit right there.
That's great. Okay, put it back. Put the lights back. Yeah, it's open. Turn around. Yeah. And I'm like, fuck, after about 10, you've got it, dude.
Yeah, like one of those has to work. Like, come on.
Yeah, I know you gotta cover your butt, but come on, dude.
Yeah.
At a certain point.
Well, that's like Conrad, Dr. Strangelove. Like, apparently, like the one take of the dude walking down the hall, it was like over 100 takes that Kubrick like shot with that.
See, that's the reason why I actually do believe some of the conspiracy theories about Kubrick, because if any guy is insane enough to do that, it's that guy. You know?
That's true. That's true.
I mean, of course, the moon landings was fake. I'm like, I don't know. That seems kind of far-fetched. But then they threw some of the shit in there. I'm like, well, okay, that is a little weird.
Dude, that's what I hate about like modern times. Like, there can be some really convincing shit, and you're like, oh, wait a minute. Like, and then you're like, what do I really know? Are birds real? Birds aren't real.
Well, I do equate it with, because one of the things, because a lot of the people, when they talk about Mandela effects, I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But there are some things that I'm like, okay, there's
like,
something
I do
there.
Remember that slightly differently. Like, I do remember this or that.
Well, for me, my personal one was the portrait of Dorian Gray.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a portrait. What's painted. It turns out, and I remember as a kid, I was 8 when I read it, and I actually read what portrait meant. And I was like, oh, I'm a big kid. I knew what portrait meant. Turns out it has never been portrait of Dorian Gray.
It's always been picture
of Dorian Gray. And I said, that's the dumbest thing ever, man. Hey,
well, that's what I can like relate to you on that one, because I feel like as far back as like even the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, I feel like even then when I was like kind of researching the characters, I was like, it was portrait. I always thought it was portrait.
Well, have you heard of the latest one? And I was like, okay, man, I'm kind of like thrown off. The one thing, and I don't even remember this, and I was a big Batman fan. I don't know if you watched The Dark Knight Rises, the one with Bane.
Yeah.
Evidently, there's a lot of, supposedly, a lot of things of him knitting. And I'm like, I don't remember that. I have no recollection. And I actually looked it up, and there's like articles from 2015. Yes, Bane is doing all this knitting in between scenes of Batman. Like,
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all. And someone's like, yeah, dude. And then someone's like, yeah, it was like a big thing. And I was like, that doesn't make sense, because if it was, it would have been a meme of some sort.
Yeah.
Bane knitting. I've never, I need to rewatch the movie.
Oh, now I do too.
I have no recollection at all of Bane sitting around like, hold on, let me
do this knitting here. I can't even do the Bane voice.
Well, the thing is Tom Hardy did, he was in like a Star Trek movie pretending to be Picard. So every time I heard that, I kept thinking that's his like Picard voice.
Yeah, right.
Wait, Picard.
I got a good conspiracy theory for you. We could we still have a little bit of time left for this one to possibly be true. So I heard this. It's not an original thought, but apparently there's a conspiracy that the Queen of England is actually dead.
I actually have heard that. Yeah, and the crazy thing, I've been exploring telepathy with like writing and filmmaking and stuff. One of these guys who's kind of like, it's all bullshit. Blah, blah.
Yeah.
And he said, where'd you get this information? I'm like, well, if you actually go to the CIA reading library, there's like about 20,000 articles about all this stuff.
Yeah.
And they kind of prove it. And the craziest thing was Sony proved it. They did an internal research thing for their gaming consoles.
Yeah.
And they wanted to see if they could, quantify it for their gaming consoles. And the conclusion was, Sony said, yes, paranormal ESP telepathy exists, but they couldn't find a way to monetize it with their gaming consoles.
Not yet.
Not yet. And I was just cracking up because this guy's like, well, according to this dude, don't listen to Kim Kardashian for 5 minutes. It's true. But it's cracking me up that someone's like, one day science will have it. Well, according to Sony, it's right here. No,
Yeah.
no.
That's so messed up. That is the most dystopian future shit I've ever heard. Like, it's like all the shit that, like, growing up, I thought, like, once we get into the 2000s, like, it's all going to be flying cars, utopia, everyone's going to be super happy. No, it's like Alien and Blade Runner and all that shit where, like Elon Musk is apparently putting like fucking like advertisements in the sky now, like
tacky. I was like, man, I was kind of hoping more for Star Trek or Star Wars, but not Blade Runner. But
yeah, like, damn it, or Judge Dredd. Like,
well, I actually wrote a story, a little book, Robots Kiss as Lovers, and it's coming. They're sex robots and that kind of trade are coming. I don't know if you've kept up with some of the robotic, one of my degrees is robotics, and I've been keeping up with it. That uncanny valley is getting really bad.
Dude, that is like that's some freaky shit.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, and I always, what I love is that when you to a robot fault, every robot keeps joking like, I will destroy you all. And the engineer's like, she's sure making a funny joke. I'm like, I don't think you should do this, man.
Let's give it control of the nuclear supply.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and if you think about it from a robot standpoint, yeah, it makes sense. It's like, man, they're killing each other because they're pigmentation. Like,
it's like, yeah, they're illogical as fuck. Like, and there's a whole series of movies on why that's a bad fucking idea too. Like, but they're gonna do it.
Well, it's like Jurassic Park. They're like, we're going to clone animals that are extinct. Did that seem like a bad? You figure one of these guys?
Were you watching the movie? Like,
I think it's the arrogance that they can control nature, and it's like it's kind of, well, I mean, it's like okay, good example. I was listening to a couple of these ex-CIA guys, and they were psychic spies. The men that stare at ghosts. They were. I was like reading some of their documentary, and I was watching some of their video, and they were talking about some terrible, absolutely terrible experiments that were going on in Russia. And I'm like, whoa, this is disturbing, man.
Yeah.
Somebody should probably, like, they were talking about killing these goats. And I'm like, well, they're medical goats and they were killing them. But they could feel the heartbeat stopping. I'm like, I'm not a psychic, but I would say that probably mess you up a little bit.
Yeah.
But what bothered me was this guy said it's actually shockingly easy to do that. I'm like, oh, I don't know, dude.
I love that.
I don't like that at all, dude.
Oh man, that's freaky.
I liked it better when you had to be a guru.
Yeah,
I feel like we're a lot of energy beings, and I feel like going to the Mandela effect. I feel like we slip through multiple universes a day, and we don't know. We just simply, because it's so thin.
Yeah,
that we have no idea until like something drastic, like one of the Star Wars things really bothered me. The one where C-3PO has like a silver leg.
Yeah.
I'm like,
in Empire.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't remember that. I bought the damn Kenner toys in the 70s. I don't remember,
because they would have definitely had one of those too.
Yeah, and then of course everyone, and Lucas was kind of nuts. Oh, according, no, it didn't. And Han shot first. Okay. Yeah, it's like, okay, Dave. Okay, Han.
Yeah, right.
Well, I actually thought his best movie is his non-Star Wars movie, and that's American Graffiti.
Oh, I love American Graffiti.
And I was like, I kept thinking, I'm like, how the fuck did he do American Graffiti? And then he went to Attack of the Clones, Hold Me by the River of Naboo,
Yeah.
How did he go from that to that? Finally, I was watching the documentary, and he actually had some people helping him on the script with American Graffiti. That
makes sense.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Well, the most iconic thing with with Harrison and Carrie Fisher, like,
Yeah.
I love you. I know. That was Kirshner. It wasn't Lucas.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just winged that. He just put that in.
I love it, man. I love, because that whole that scene is great. I love improvised scenes, like when you find out, especially scenes that really kind of stick with you.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I feel like the secret is in the magic. I mean, I've kind of run on both sides of the equation. I usually one of the films that I've never finished, but I need to get the damn thing done.
Yeah.
I had a bunch of actors saying, Jerry, we're going to be in town this weekend. We want to film something. I'm like, fuck, I don't have time to do anything. I don't have So I actually borrowed an idea from Seinfeld, where you have or maybe Larry David. Larry David.
Yeah.
Where you have an intro and then an exit.
Yeah.
So I would give these actors an intro and an exit, and we improv'd it. So it's
cool.
Manos, the origin of fate, and Eric Butts plays the master, and it's pretty crazy little movie, and I wasn't in sync with the camera guy, so I shot mine in 4:3.
Yeah,
the camera guy correctly shot it 16:9. I'm like, oh man.
So it looks totally different.
Well, the framing. I mean, I guess technically people wouldn't give a shit if it's man. I mean, if it's Manos. I mean, how critical are they going to be?
That's true. That's true. When you're constantly listed with like Plan 9, yeah, you can get away with some shit.
Yeah, it's like yeah. Well, it's like, I remember one of these filmmakers. He was shooting some stuff with Conrad, and I'm not gonna. I remember Conrad's like, Conrad had all these crazy ass stories, and I remember I was talking to him.
Yeah.
And I was looking at his IMDb, and I said, Conrad, you were on Bram Stoker's Dracula. And he's like, yeah, champ, I was. I was like, well, where were you? And he said, I had a beard, and I was behind this awful kid who couldn't act worth. I was like, well, who was it? Well, I think we all felt bad for him because we thought he was the producer's son. I was like, dude, who was it? Keanu Reeves.
What?
I was laughing about it. I was like, Keanu Reeves? You're behind Keanu Reeves? Yeah, he was awful, champ.
Oh, that sucks, but I love Keanu.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he was a little stiff on the movie, but I mean, I need to look through Bram Stoker's Dracula. I know he's in there. He's wearing a beard.
Yeah.
He's a villager. So I'm trying to find where he is. So, I mean, I remember Conrad sent me a T-shirt, and it's this random, weird, crazy T-shirt with him with Dana Plato of Different Strokes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell is this, man? Yeah. He was like, I was on a movie with Dana Plato. I'm like, okay. So
hey, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know whatever happened to it. It was like Conrad was dressed up as a sultan or something. It was really weird, crazy movie. I mean,
she went through a kind of a weird phase there near the end.
Actually doing the convention thing for a while, and I'm sure you've seen it. Some of these actors, you're like, damn, what did Hollywood do to these guys? I was like, what
happened to you?
I was like, dude, come on, man. I mean, some of them are really nice. I heard some horror stories about one of the 80s guys, Corey, but
I've heard a lot of stories about him too. Wait, you're talking about Feldman, not Haim, right?
Yeah, Feldman.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's gone through a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But I heard. I was talking to a couple friends who put on a show, and they were like, "Crazy, man."
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of these, it's a rough business. So I mean, and it kind of makes sense because if you're an actor, you're getting external validation from other people, and as soon as you stop making money for somebody, you're gone.
Yeah, once you like are no longer useful to the bottom line. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's tough, man. And, I mean, I feel bad for a lot of these children actors, man. It's like, man, no, that's not a healthy environment.
No. And you've heard all kinds of horror stories. And you've heard the exaggerated stuff too. You have no idea how much of it's real, how much of it isn't.
I think it's kind of probably in the middle. I feel like, well, I mean, it's like with a lot of the predators, they can blend in. That's the reason why they're hard to spot. They're not. If they had a big red flag over their head, okay. Oh, okay. I won't have Timmy hanging around that guy. You know, you wouldn't know that.
That guy in his white van.
Yeah. Well, and Todd, of course, when we're at conventions, we give out candy, which is funny because I'm diabetic. So I'm like, yeah, have some poison, kids.
Yeah, you enjoy this for me, right?
Enjoy this. Well, one of Todd's jokes is like, we have more candy in the van.
That's awesome.
So of course, I'm like, yeah, well, you come over to the van, we'll give you candy, get you in a movie too. You know,
you want to be in a movie, right?
You want to be in a movie.
You want to be a star?
Yeah, come on out. Let me look at your gams. That kind of thing.
Fucking love it.
Well, it's like I remember Amazon Women on the Moon. Did you ever watch that movie?
Yeah.
Okay, that was the Zeppo aesthetic I was trying to go for.
Yeah.
You know, Amazon Women on the Moon. You know, I think it was really good. Debbie Rochon did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
And we had a music number. Well, I was lucky because Eric's a pretty good musician. So I was like, and for my music, I ended up doing my own music at a certain point because it was just, you couldn't. I mean, I remember one of the first shorts I did was called Mint Condition. It was a rip-off homage to Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
And this is when I first started. I had no one for crew. So we literally turned the camera on. Then the actors got in front of the camera. No one was running the camera.
Oh, wow.
I had no one around to do camera work.
Yeah. Total DIY.
Total. And it was actually where I met Jacob Ennis because I didn't know anything about shooting a film. So of course, Jacob blew up the footage, and I didn't realize, because I wasn't thinking about sound, right? And of course, the mic was right by an aquarium. Yeah. So he cut the scene together, and I'm like, oh man, this looks like shit. This sounds like shit. I always remember, let me do my Jacob Ennis impersonator. Don't you worry, I'll find a way to fix this shit. And he put a layer of music under it, and it worked, man. Yeah. It really worked. So that's kind of when I started paying more attention.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I got to give George Vanilla credit for this. One of the films I did was Soul Robbers from Outer Space, and I actually shot in a parking lot. And the pretty actress was like doing her lines. Yeah. Well, of course, this is Saturday night. You see a blonde lady. What are you gonna do? You're gonna drive by and you're gonna be cranking up Guns N' Roses,
right?
Check it out, baby. So constantly dealing with the assholes doing that. So I'm trying to shoot this scene. Kat Carney's trying to do her lines. Yeah. This dude's like doing donuts right behind me. I'm like, fuck. But anyways, George Bonilla came up with something really brilliant. And I always, before the actors leave, have them do their lines before they're done. Like get them in a car, get the lines on tape, and you can do a voice. And it saved my ass on that scene because there's no way I was going to take out GNR. Like, and you got to give it, when you're shooting in a location, you realize how many damn bugs make much noise. You start realizing how much noise there is in the world. Oh, Lord. Yeah. It's like, and the wind. Oh, it's going to be a beautiful day. I was in a medieval. I was in a medieval movie. Yeah. And they gave me a monk outfit. And of course, I had to say all these, Ren Fair kind of lines, and they don't roll off the tongue, right? Take the enchanted sword into the fields of fire, blah, and that's, and if you Lord don't have it in your over the top, if you don't have that down, man, you'll trip over it. Yeah. So take the enchanted thing and put it in there. Go do the quest. Go do the quest. one of the movies, I don't know if you've kept up with, there's one of the I'm a big D&D nerd. Right?
Oh, I love D&D.
Yeah, I remember.
Never get to play it anymore, but yeah, I never have time. But
yeah, I know it's just time consuming because you know how it is. It's like someone's like, so we can play a 2-hour D&D game. No,
not even worth it. Not because I've DM'd and I'm like, no, I'm not preparing that much for 2 hours. Like
for 2 hours.
This is an all day thing. You cleared the day for that shit.
Well, there is a combination of Dungeons & Dragons, and comedy by the Dead Gentlemen. They did a movie called Darkness Rising.
Darkness Rising.
It's worth taking a look at. I loved it. And anyways, one of the lines in it was bards suck, because the joke is every time, a bard gets killed every time he says it. And I'll send you the link, but the trailer is fantastic. I was like, these guys get my humor, man.
Yeah.
It's you have to see it. It's called
Darkness Rising.
Darkness Rising.
I gotta check that out. It sounds amazing.
It's worth it. The bard suck thing cracks me up because the guy shows up and the bards drop over like flies, and he actually had a Xerox. Anytime a bard died, he's like, well, I'm pulling another one out. I mean, and I'm like, yeah, that's a bard right there.
Yep.
Like,
of course, I'm sticking to it.
well, see, they juxtapose the real life, like, you're doing this, you're rolling this, but then they do the same actors are doing the medieval stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, the bard character is just cracking me up. He's like, so ladies, you want to tune my mandolin? Just cracking me up, man.
Oh man, I got to check that out. That sounds amazing.
Well, and I was like really blown away when Tucky did her dagger kiss.
Yeah.
It was like, brilliant, man, brilliant. There was one scene, it didn't make it into Girl Scene, the movie, but Amanda was wearing this purple dress, and we were out in a field, and she's running, and she runs into Tucky's character and kind of establishes who they are. But until she runs into Tucky, it looks like a scene from a high-end medieval movie.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, man. Oh, man. But it did. It had to go away because of timing.
Right.
But it's such a beautiful scene because Amanda is running through the fields, and Amanda, really good actress, and just. Weirdly enough, Amanda and I shared a bond over podcasting of all sorts.
Nice.
We were talking about podcasting. Oh, yeah. And I was telling her, I was like, have you checked out Tanis? Tanis is fucked up. Check it out. If you're into X-Files, David Lynchian stuff, we're talking about Tanis, and it's called Rabbits,
Yeah.
It's really weird. Yeah, really weird.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah.
I like weird shit.
Well, I know with Kentucky, they had like something called Helen. It was like one of the paranormal things.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I was doing a little bit of paranormal stuff, and it's true. If you do explore or even research the paranormal, it does look back at you after a certain point.
Yeah.
And
which is why you gotta be kind of careful with that shit.
Yeah, well, and and of course, there seems to be evidence if you think of stuff like Men in Black or Black Eyed Kids. Those little bastards know you're thinking about them. They come toward you. It doesn't work with lottery winnings.
I know, it's only the bad shit.
Yeah, it's like $2 million in my hand.
Where's that at?
Well, I do believe in the law of attraction. I do believe in that, and. I try to put a lot of that energy out.
Same.
Yeah. Well, it's like the big reason why conventions, I was talking to Todd about it, because of the pandemic, jumping into a convention. I don't know if you've done any recently, but
not since, with the pandemic, I haven't done anything.
Well, it was the first one. And I was telling him, I was like, I've talked more at this convention in 2 days than in 2 years.
Yeah.
And you don't realize I think that's the reason why the pandemic's like messed people up is that human interaction is like almost as necessary as oxygen.
Definitely.
And food.
Social creatures.
Social creatures. You don't have that, people get nutty. They really get nutty.
Yeah.
And it may, well, I remember I went swimming with my daughter over the summer, and she said, it's been 2 years since we did this. And I was like, no, what shit, she's right.
And then you start to think about it, you're like, oh my God, like.
Well, the joke is that when I talk about the pandemic with people, I said, it's the longest March ever.
Yeah, right.
I was like, maybe next month we'll get to April, and
yeah. But, not looking like it now.
Yeah, I know. Well, like the hypersigil stuff. You try to, I don't know if you've kept up on any of that, but the idea is that with hypersigil, you create a fiction or work of art, and it's like a voodoo doll.
Yeah.
And with Astro Space Hero, especially recently, I started doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, and of course, Amazon took it down because they're assholes.
Yeah.
That's like Amazon's like, Jerry, you're making money.
Can't have that.
No. Well, what happened was I had it down for 11 seasons.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? I want to actually know who the fuck Corso, who is Astro Space Hero?
Right.
And I started coming up with a backstory. He's one of 9 heroes.
Yeah.
Okay. His great lady love is Maria, the Queen of the Unicorns. Okay. His bad guy is some guy named Bill Pines.
Yeah.
A bad space sorcerer. And the season 12 was supposed to build upon that.
Yeah.
And of course, Amazon's like, well, I guess it's gone. And I'm like, dude, I worked on that for 11 years, man. That was gone, man.
And they're just like, sorry.
Life's a hard sack of shit, Jerry. And, but I found a way around it. Actually, I recut the show, and it is on Peg Media. So it's actually got audience out in California and Washington State. And, it's, I cut the 11 seasons into 11 episodes, 28-minute episodes.
Yeah.
And I started working on season 2, and it's kind of funny. It's me and puppets and a couple of random scenes. And I'm like, man, Jim Henson really worked hard, because it literally is me with puppets.
Yeah.
This one. And I'm like, fuck, dude. It makes you appreciate how hard Jim Henson did.
It's like you don't like it's like that with a lot of art forms. Like you don't realize like how much really goes into it until you're in the thick of it. Like podcasting is the exact same way.
Oh yeah, I mean, just I remember a couple of people I get interviewed for a podcast a long time ago, and I remember these guys were like getting down. I'm like, damn, dude, because you got to think about the time and like, okay, Jerry, and they were really good about it, because I'm sure if you picked up on me, I'll go on any tangent. Like, it was kind of like when I was sunbathing naked in here. Oh, okay. You need to get back to what you're talking about, Jerry. Right. The podcast guys I noticed were really good. And I mean, I like everyone. I love like other, like the Art Bell shows. The paranormal stuff, and I feel like a lot of that. Well, I just feel like I do feel like a lot of the paranormal writing, a lot of it is interconnected, and I feel like a lot of the stuff that you write or put out gets reflected. There's a magician's effect with writing. I never realized that.
Yeah.
And Alan Moore's talking about it. I'm like, wow, that is crazy.
Yeah.
And it's a concept called journaling. So if you write it, and I remember I wrote something, and I don't know if this is I actually wrote something completely crazy about an ex-girlfriend or something.
Yeah.
And the next day I was doing something, and I ran into someone that wore the same outfit. I'm like, whoa, that's wrong.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of stuff like synchronicities and all that stuff, those are weirdly enough connections that we have to other reality. Like I told Tucky this.
Yeah.
I said, I believe the universes that we believe in
exist
separate unto itself. Like there's a Doctor Who universe.
Yeah.
There's a Dagger Kiss universe. There's a Girls universe. There's a Clown Nightmare universe for Mark. And I just feel like a lot of these creative worlds are reflections of some of the thoughts we put into it. Like I really believe that sometimes fiction kind of bleeds into our reality from time to time. And I
absolutely,
really
absolutely.
Yeah. And and of course I'll make some smart ass joke. Like, like
that's what George I do constantly.
Tell George not to do the prequels.
Right?
Don't do it.
I love it.
Well, I remember watching the prequels and I was like, they're not that bad. Oh Lord, I got burned, man.
Yeah, they could have been like, honestly, they could have been worse. So, but I'll be honest, man, we're getting a little bit low on time here. I do gotta start finding an exit to the episode here. Dude, I could talk to you all night though. Like, so I really got, I want to have you on again and talk about some paranormal shit though at some point. So.
Perfect. No, all good.
I love it, dude. So where can people find you?
You can find me actually. Legend of Astro Space Hero is on Peg Media. It's on YouTube. I have films out on YouTube, Roku channels, INC, B-Zone, on the B-Zone. I have books out there, Amazon. I'm on Screaming Mime Theater music label, Magicians of a Cookie. I have a Christmas album out, Scrooge Redux.
Nice. Love it.
And there's an album called Holly versus the Flying Saucer. So it's a lot of, there's actually a subgenre of music called Dungeon Synth out there.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy, D&D music nerd. It was like, oh God, this is perfect.
Yeah.
There's actually, so if you're interested in this music, it's called Dungeon Synth.
I got to check that out.
Yeah, I was like, shit, I can do this. I'm on board, man. Let's do it. So, Magicians of a Cookie, Legend of Astro Space Hero. I was in a movie called Clown Nightmare, and I've done some other acting films. And one of these days, Lloyd Kaufman will actually admit knowing to me. I don't know that. I don't know that. Get that part.
I love it.
Actually, Lloyd's a beautiful guy, and Debbie Rashawn. I don't know if you've interviewed her. She's fantastic.
Haven't had a chance to, but I'd love to.
Lovely woman. She is the coolest thing ever, man. And
send her my info. I'd love to talk to her.
Oh yeah, Tiffany Shepis. I don't know if you know who she is. Scream Queen. She cracked me up. I'm big into astrology. Virgo, we're Virgo with Virgo, So perfect. But yes, no, you can find me. Just type in Jerry Williams, Goatboy Films, Astro Space Hero, and Dr. Tyranny's Terrible TV.
I love it, Jerry. This has been absolutely phenomenal. I gotta have you back, dude. We got to talk about some more, we got to talk about cryptids and aliens and shit. I love it.
It's almost like these guys are like following me. Shit. I'm just kidding, but no. Thank you for having me on. Absolutely. And definitely looking forward to the interview. I'm sure the tagline was like, I was trying to get Jerry to talk, but he wasn't focused.
This guy didn't say nothing.
He was all over the map, man.